Well, good afternoon. Hello. I am so excited to be here with you today. And I'm excited for you to be here as well because I have a lot to share with you today. And I'm just looking forward to the time we have together. It's been an exciting week, and this is just Friday. We still have another live stream that's coming up on Sunday at 3 o'clock Eastern time. So make sure that you have that on your calendar and that you show up, because I have a lot that I'm going to be sharing at that point in time. Let me just give it a few seconds as people come in. And as you come in, if you like, put in the comments where you're watching from. Always interesting to see where people are coming from. We've had people from all over the United States. We've had from South Africa, Lesotho. Michael is back in the house from Salt Lake City. Yahoo! Yes, sir. I am so excited to see you here. Appreciate you being here. And so it's great as you come in. Now, look, here's the thing. For those of you that stay to the end, I have something special I'm going to share with you at the end. I'm going to tell you right up front. And I know you're going to want to hear about this because you're going to want to be able to take advantage of it. So I'm going to share that right towards the end. It is Friday. I'm going to keep this concise today, but I have some really powerful things that I want to share with you. And I just feel that it's important to get through that. For those of you that it's the first time, hi, I'm Sam Silverstein. I'm the author of 10 books on accountability, leadership, personal development. I work with leadership and leadership groups of companies literally around the world to help them build accountability in their personal lives, build it in their organization, and accelerate their growth and movement as they work to achieve their goals and objectives. And so that's what I'm here to do with you today. I want to help you accelerate as you move forward to achieve your goals and objectives. And welcome as we come in, Tampa, Florida. Love that. Awesome. Great to have you here. And we really do appreciate everyone that's showing up and sharing. And as I share with you today, you have a question, jot it down, put it in the comments, because my goal is not just to share something with you that's kind of arbitrary. My goal is always to share something important, but then I want to help you apply it. I want to help you be able to put it to use in your life, in your organization. And so don't hesitate to submit a question in the comments, and then we'll work through that. Look at that. South Dakota is in the house. Thank you very much. Great to have you here. And I think it's time that we are going to move forward. Just a brief recap, in workshop number 1 of this 4-part series, we started talking about these 3 big questions. And these 3 big questions really frame up a way of thinking that will totally revolutionize your life, your business. It'll build accountability. It'll supercharge what you're doing, because we're not focused so much on changing what we do. We're not focused on pivoting what we do. We hear that word all the time these days, right? Pivot. We're looking at pivoting how we think, because when we pivot how we think, that is the only way that we will ultimately change what we do, and it'll stick. If we're not getting the results we want, it always connects back to a way of thinking that we need to work on. And if we want to achieve the results faster, then maybe we still need to be tweaking the way of thinking. So session number 1, we talked about first question, big question number 1, what do you believe? And then in workshop number 2, we talked about what do you focus on? And we talked about how the distractions in our business can push us off course, how distractions in our life can keep us from achieving what it is that we're trying to achieve, and how to get our focus back on what it is that we need to be focused on. And the difference between focusing on those things that you can control versus those things that you can't control. We talked about what drives fear into our lives, what drives making excuses into our lives, and what positions us to move forward. Boy, I'll tell you what, the technology is acting up today. If you haven't seen the first 2 videos, go back and watch them. And they're at LinkedIn at Sam Silverstein. You can catch them there. You can catch them YouTube at Sam Silverstein. You can catch it on Facebook My Pivot Life. The videos are still there. Feel free to go back and get all caught up. Today, what I want to do is build on everything that we have that we've talked about up until now. I think it's important to then take it to the next level. And so today is the third workshop, and a reminder, Sunday at 3:00 Eastern time is the fourth, where we're really going to bring this together. And I'm going to share just a little bit more about that with you at the conclusion of this session. So you definitely want to be around for there. Hello from the Bronx, New York. Yeah, absolutely. Great to have you in the house. Diomedes. Wonderful. Glad you're here. Okay. We've all up to date. And, here's the thing. We're all facing challenges. We are facing challenges all the time. And some of the challenges that we're facing is like knowing when to say no. How do we know when to say no? Overcommitting, people around us that aren't keeping their commitments and seemingly holding us back. And so we need to address those areas. And so today we're going to look at big question number 3. And big question number 3. Now, before we do that, you know what I always like to do? I always like to talk about what is accountability. And so let's talk about this. What is accountability? And accountability simply is keeping your commitments to people, And a commitment is no matter what. So if there is no gray area, it's black and white. A commitment is no matter what. But today we're going to talk about the 3 big questions, and we're going to look at question number 3. And question number 3 is, what do you commit to? And so this connects directly to accountability, and that's why this is so important. What do you commit to? And being able to get clarity around that in our life is critical, because as a leader, as someone in a family member, someone in the community, what we commit to determines everything. But commitments, a lot of times people say, well, I committed to getting this done and this and that. Let's go deep dive. Let's talk about commitments. And let's bring some clarity to that. So we want to talk about commitment. All right, commitments. Now, here's what our research has shown. Our research has shown that there's different types of commitments. There's tactical commitments. Tactical commitments are all about things. Tactical commitments are all about doing. As in, think of activities. Couldn't spell for a second, all right? Think of your job description as a list of tactical commitments. Now, tactical commitments are important. We need to fulfill those commitments. We need to do those things. We have to get the report done, like we said. We have to do those things that we say we're going to do, and we need to complete them. Now, here's the thing. Tactical commitments are all about things. Then there's relational commitments. Now, relational commitments aren't about things. Relational commitments are about people. It's about connecting. Ultimately, relational commitments are about serving. And that's what a leader does. A leader is serving the people they lead, because the leader's responsibility is to help the people they lead be successful. And you do that by serving them and allowing them to be successful. Okay. All right, let's do this. I want you to see this. Tactical, things, doing, job description, relational, people, connecting. Tactical, commitments. Produce, go towards productivity. Tactical commitments go towards productivity. Now, is productivity important? You bet it is. Productivity is very important. You're trying to build an organization, you have to get things done. Not just anything, but specific things that are going to help you build that organization. So, productivity is important. We need to make and keep our tactical commitments. Now, tactical commitments are spoken. I told you Wednesday I would be here today at 3 o'clock Eastern time. That was a spoken tactical commitment. It had to do with things, all right? Now, if I tell you I'm going to have that report for you by tomorrow afternoon, that's a tactical commitment. It connects to things. Tactical commitments go towards productivity. Tactical commitments do not and does not equal accountability. So productivity doesn't equal accountability. Getting stuff done doesn't make you accountable. It means that you're fulfilling your responsibilities. Remember, you're responsible for things, you're accountable to people. The definition we started today was accountability is keeping your commitments to people. Okay, and we're going to talk about those in just a moment. So productivity does not equal accountability, and that's the mistake that our society makes all the time. When a leader says, I'm going to hold my people accountable, the reason they say that because they're trying to manipulate their people to get stuff done for them. They're talking about all they're about is productivity. How do we get more done? Because they see getting more done is tying to the bottom line and putting money in the bank. And yes, do we need to get things done? Yes. Do we need to get things done on a timely basis? Absolutely. But that has nothing to do with accountability whatsoever. Whereas when we want to talk about accountability, relational commitments that is what produces accountability. Because relational commitments are about me making a commitment that is in support of you. And when I make a commitment that's in support of you, what happens is that we build this bond. And as we build the bond, my accountability, making and keeping these commitments, and there's 10 of them. We're not going to go into them today. We'll go into them another time. There's 10 specific relational commitments that define what accountability is. If you've taken the free accountability quiz at amiaccountable.com, then you were answering questions, and the report that you got in that free 2-minute quiz connect back to those 10 relational commitments. If you have not taken the free accountability quiz at amiaccountable.com, after this session, whether you're joining us live or you're watching the recording, go take the free quiz. It'll take you 2 minutes. It gives you valuable information, and you know where your strengths and weaknesses are and what you need to work on. Here's the thing. When we talk about relational commitments, when we're making and keeping relational commitments, this is what eventually gets you to this increased accountability. Accountability is inspired. It is not mandated. Okay? Accountability is inspired. It is not mandated. So, Accountability, keeping your commitments to people. Commitments, there's tactical commitments, there's relational commitments. Tactical commitments go towards productivity. Relational commitments go towards accountability. Tactical commitments are spoken. Relational commitments, for the most part, are not spoken. They're made and kept by an accountable leader. So, a commitment to live the values, a commitment to it's all of us, meaning that if you fail, I fail. If you succeed, I succeed. These types of commitments, I don't have to speak them out loud. I need to make them in my heart and then keep them to you and the people around me. And what happens is you see that, you know that. A commitment to stand by you when all hell breaks loose. You know when someone's there to support you. You know when someone's always there when things don't go right. That's something that builds on that relationship. Now, here's the thing. We need both. We need both. We need both tactical and relational commitments. All right, let's see. There are people who I wish were part of this seminar. Well, you know what? I agree with you. And you can bring them Sunday at 3 o'clock if you like, or send them to the recording and they can watch the recording. So I appreciate that. And Michael, 10 relational commitments. Is that what I said? Yes, those are. I did talk about that. I did mention that. I don't know if we have time to go into all 10 today. Michael, I believe you've taken the accountability quiz. And so all 10 of those are covered in the accountability quiz. But those 10 relational commitments, I outline them in detail. I mean, they're in no matter what, and I'm accountable. But we're going to deep dive into those commitments actually in the pivot course that the registration starts on Sunday. But there are commitments like a commitment to the truth, a commitment to a good name, a commitment to live the values, a commitment to it's all of us, a commitment to stand by you when all hell breaks loose, a commitment to sound financial decisions, a commitment to lead people to their potential, to be their best. There's 10 specific ones that combined really define what accountability is. And so those are the 10 relational commitments that I'm talking about. Those are the 10 commitments of accountability. And it's those 10 that define what accountability is. Appreciate you asking that. Okay, so commitment. We're still talking about commitment here. We've talked about tactical commitments. We've talked about relational commitments. Now I want to talk about the concept of commitment, because I think this is really important as well. And the concept of commitment means, what are you committed to? What are you all in? Remember, commitment is no matter what. And so I break commitment down into here. You know what? It's just going to be easier to show this back here. You have commitment, and what that comes down to is really the commitments that you make and the consistency. So it's commitments and consistency. What are you committed to? And what is the consistency that you have? So for instance, if you're an athlete, if you're a runner, those of you that have known me for a while, you know I love to run. Marathoning is my thing, or used to be my thing. And my doctor says, don't do all that running anymore, but that's a separate issue. But how often did I work out? You know, did I run once or twice this week? Didn't run next week, maybe hit it 2 or 3 times the following. No, it was consistent. I ran 5 days a week. I gave my body 1 or 2 rest days, but I always ran at least 5 days a week at a certain amount of mileage. I had a routine that I did. I went long every Saturday. I had on Tuesday, I had either a speed workout or a or just a long run, which would be a 10 to 12 mile workout. On Thursday, every Thursday, it was 10 to 12 at marathon pace. There was a consistency, and through that consistency, I was able to achieve the results that I really needed to achieve. So, all right. Get the confusion off the screen. All right, so it's commitment and consistency. When you bring those two together, you're supercharging your commitments. And when you supercharge those commitments, that's when you start to get those results that we're all looking for. Okay, now let's see. Any questions? We've answered the one question that Michael submitted, I see over there. And then let's see. All right, this is from earlier, that were questions that have come in. It seems like I've fallen into the trap of overcommitting. How do I keep that from happening? And that's the thing. Are we overcommitting? And somebody once said to me, "You're defined by what you say no to." And I think that's really powerful. So it's part of being an accountable leader is understanding what and those tactical commitments, what can we commit to? But if we overcommit, then we're going to run into a problem. And so it's important. Sometimes we just need to say no. And saying no to someone and explaining why you're saying no is far more accountable as an individual way of acting towards that person than taking something on and then not delivering on it and letting them down and not having their back. And then your word isn't your bond, which is one of those relational commitments. And so it's really critical that we do not overcommit. And I find that traditionally the accountable leader gets a grasp of that and does not overcommit. I keep my commitments, but the people around me don't always keep theirs. What can I do about that? Oh, that's frustrating, isn't it? The short answer, fire them. Yeah, I'm serious. Fire them. Why do you want to hang out with people who aren't keeping their commitments? If they work for you, hire someone that's going to keep their commitments. And if it's someone that's in your life, well, is it someone that you choose to have in your life or someone that's thrust upon you? A family is family. They are what they are. So you learn what to expect. But my friends that is my really close friends, and I refer to them as the family that I choose. Why would I develop a close relationship with someone who consistently doesn't keep their commitments? It doesn't make sense. And so you want to associate with like-minded people, like-minded, not in your political beliefs, like-minded, not in the way that you look or what your hobbies are necessarily, like-minded in your values. Your values need to connect. You connect through values. And if you don't value honesty, if you don't value keeping those commitments, then that person really shouldn't be in your circle. And that's a choice that you just have to make. I'm not telling you to clean house. What I am telling you to do is, if you're around people that aren't keeping their commitments, evaluate your choices. You want to be around those people that keep their commitments. Okay. Let's see, another question that came in. What happens when commitments that I make to two different people clash and I can't keep both? Now that's a sticky wicket, isn't it? What happens if I make a commitment to Michael and I make a commitment to Phoebe and then they clash? So the question becomes, first of all, when I made the commitments, what was the likelihood that there was going to be a clash? And that goes back to, what do we say no to? Don't set yourself up for failure. And then the second situation is sometimes things happen. I could commit to two people to doing something or going with them and doing something, and maybe the weather affects one, a date gets moved, something comes up with one of my children that's super important. How do I deal with that? Well, you're going to be defined by how you keep those commitments. And it's, it's hard to deal with hypotheticals in a situation like this without having facts. But I think you have to look at your values. If your values are well defined, then you know how to act in all situations. And my always go-to is if someone comes up to me, or even one of my children, something comes up and I go, you know what? I have a prior commitment that I've made. I want to teach them the importance of keeping commitments. Now, family comes first, but that doesn't mean I can just go knocking stuff off of commitments just because it's family. So let's see. Priorities. Yes, priorities. And what gives the best outcome? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, Michael, because, how do we define what the best outcome is? But if, look, if you and I are supposed to get together and we have a meeting this afternoon at 4:30, and all of a sudden my wife calls me and says, you know what, that soccer game that the kids were supposed to play 2 weeks ago that got rained out just got rescheduled up at the high school this afternoon. It's sort of a short notice thing. Now, there's my commitment to you, and there's my commitment to them. How do I mitigate that situation? And I think the facts need to come into play. And if I made a commitment to you, Michael, I want to keep that commitment. Now, my commitment to my kids is to always be at their games. And so now here's something that comes up at the last minute. Hopefully, in this situation, I'm going to keep my commitment to you, and the kids hopefully will understand that I already had something planned and that this was last minute, and I just can't cancel, because if I just cancel on you, where's the respect in that situation? Now, if we set this up and you go, you want to get together Friday or Saturday, could I reach out to you and say, Michael, look, my kid's soccer game just got rescheduled. Any chance you're still available tomorrow? Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. But I don't want someone to feel like they're second class or second choice. And so you really have to be careful in those situations. And back to what gives for us and the other person as well as the company. Yeah, here's the thing. When we have a clash in commitments, sometimes we have to make a choice that's not in our best interest. Now, think about that. You have to do what's right, and what's right isn't always necessarily in our best interest. And so you have a situation where maybe there's a problem with the client, and you need to allocate resources, dollars, time. You need to replace a product. You need to give them a whole new whatever, and you actually spend more money fixing the problem than what it cost you originally. I've seen companies that say they're not going to do that. We only made $50 on this. I'm not going to spend $75 to fix it. Well, see, I disagree with that. And spending the $75, you say, well, that's not in the best interest of the company. Well, it might not be in the best interest of the bottom line this week or this month, but I would say it's in the best interest of the company long term. So, yeah, I agree with you, Michael, but it gets complicated. It gets complicated. And that's why I always say, go back to those values. And we talked about those values in workshop number 1. The reason the values are so critical is because really what those values are, if they're constructed properly, if they connect to all 4 areas that we talked about, then your values basically are every decision you will ever need to make in advance of the situation presenting itself. And so it's just a matter when a situation presents itself, you step it out by living through those values. Okay. Great. We talked about big question number 3. What do you commit to? And I said that I had some things to share with you later in the program. But first of all, workshop number 4 in this series, the final workshop is going to be Sunday, 3:00 in the afternoon, Eastern time. So it's 3:00 Eastern time. And in that session, we're going to pull it all together about building accountability in your organization and in your life, how to take the 3 big questions, put them into action to achieve the results that you are trying to achieve. And we're going to cover that on Sunday. Also on Sunday, and this is what I promised you, at the end of the session. Also on Sunday, we will be opening up registration on Pivot. And And if you make sure, two things. One, you can go to mypivotlife.com and put your name and email in and you'll receive information. But on Sunday afternoon, after the live workshop, we're going to open up registration. Pivot is a deep dive course that you will be going on with me. I'll be with you for 8 weeks through a series of pre-recorded lessons and live interaction sessions, application. I'm going to help you apply everything it is that I have been teaching over these last few weeks. And most of the content that we're going to be teaching during these 8 weeks is not in one of my books that's currently published. And so we're going to deep dive on the 3 big questions. We're going to absolutely, everyone's going to be coming away with their own non-negotiables worded in detail, their own written purpose statement, their mission. We're going to be looking at all these, the 10 commitments. It's going to be a great 8 weeks, and I'm going to personally lead you through that process and help you apply it to your business and your life. So you're definitely going to want to be there. Michael says, commitment on Sunday. Will you have a replay? We will definitely have a replay, but you'll want to check it out and then right away on Sunday after your commitment. And I appreciate that you're going to keep your prior commitment. And look at joining me in the Pivot course. We're going to have a special, very special offering. It's only going to be offered one time this year, and you will be a founding member in this course. We'll have some very special first time low investment for you, and I'm just excited to really share that. You know, over this week, we've talked about 3 big questions. We talked about, what do I believe? We talked about, what do I focus on? Today, we talked about, what do I commit to? We're going to bring it all together on Sunday. My goal, as always, is to share something with you that not only makes sense, but to help you put it into practice, to get it into your life, to build it into your business. My mission is to build a more accountable world. I can't do that by myself, but I know that with people like you, we can do that. It starts by us taking the first step to build a more accountable life. Then we build that into building more accountable organizations, more accountable communities, and then to the broader world. I appreciate you being here. I would love to see you on Sunday at 3 o'clock Eastern time. I would love to have you in the Pivot program. Please go to mypivotlife.com, put the information in there, and then as soon as we start and open up registration on Sunday, you will receive an email and you'll have a chance to be at the very first founding member of this exciting new experience. Have a great afternoon. I look forward to